So if I'm a pottery studio and I want to work with you, how do you go
First,
about?
how do I find you? Typically, in most cases.
Um, Typically, the niche markets find us through the chat groups, or we are supplier members, so they know of us in most cases now. I would venture to say that probably three-quarters of the membership of the organizations for Pottery Studios, I know of them already. They know of me. It just takes a point when they reach that pain threshold and they decide it's time to make a move. We also have niche specific websites that have content catered specifically to each of the niches.
Hello and welcome. We are the Sons of CPAs. Join us as we question the current state of the accounting and tax industry with the next generation of professionals leading this space. We are the change agents in an industry fraught with money and inertia. Let's begin. The Sons of CPAs with your hosts, Jason Ackerman and Scott Scarano.
And we have a special guest, Donna Bordeaux from Calculated Moves.
Awesome. Good to be here.
Donna, why don't you give us an intro?
Okay. I'm a CPA. My husband's a CPA. We have a CPA firm in Lake Wiley, South Carolina. And we decided that we wanted to be at the forefront of technology and make our lives easier. So we are all cloud-based. We're 100% Xero firm. We've been paperless since 1999. We work with our business owners to make sure that they are financially prepared for everything that comes their way.
I love it. So in 1999, how did you get your clients to go paperless? That was like the dawn of the internet.
Yeah, our clients weren't necessarily paperless at that point, but we were. I realized that we had to stop building file cabinets to put in our office. And I went to a Microsoft seminar. This was back when they introduced the iPac. If you remember the lovely little handheld, it was like the predecessor of the BlackBerry. And I was always into technology, so I had to have one of those. And they also had this company there that did scanning. And I got hooked up. I got Fujitsu scanners and we went all in and we got scanning software. And it all started there. We started getting rid of file cabinets and getting our space back.
That is very forward thinking for pre Y2K.
Yeah.
To say I'm going all in before.
Right.
Did you just have them on a server? Where did you keep all your files?
Back in those days, I feel like we're going back into ancient history, but we had them on our computer and we had a backup drive off the side that was in a fire protected safe, and we'd back them up.
You'd swap them out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't have
remember that. I still have a fireproof safe, and I have one of the backups in there. I don't know which one, and I don't know what it is for.
Maybe it's a Bitcoin thing that has $7 billion worth of Bitcoin in there.
It's in a fireproof safe from a fire. All right.
You go ahead, Scott.
No, all I was going to say is, Donna, how are you so amazing? Like, really? But there's no answer to that, is there?
I follow.
Is there a right or wrong answer to that?
I follow all of your advice. Actually, Scott, not all of your advice, just some.
My wisdom. That's what you like me for.
I think one of the interesting things about you, Donna, and for those of you that don't know, Donna, you're like 10 miles from me. We're like neighbors.
Yep.
And we could have done this in person, but don't know how that got messed up.
Yeah.
Something called tax season, maybe.
So we've been doing Xero Hour for a while, Donna and I, in the Charlotte Xero. But one of the coolest things, I think, or one of the most interesting things, is that you're a solo practitioner. It's you and your husband, basically.
Yeah.
And you've never had any employees, or maybe you did back then. So talk about your reasoning for no employees and how you go around that. Who does the work?
Once upon a time, I did have an intern, basically, who did scanning and office kind of stuff and very light stuff like that. But that was mostly in the phase when we were attempting to go paperless, and we wanted to historically go paperless too, rather than just moving forward. But I'm an only child. And I don't work well with others. I don't understand when people won't do what I ask them to do. I've worked in corporate America, and one of the things that frustrated the heck out of me was just that people did things that just weren't logical. They didn't make common sense. So we originally I worked out of my home. So it was always a barrier. Like, you don't want to have an employee come to your home, even when you needed somebody. That was weird. Even when we moved into an office space, I got to the point where I don't want to have to worry about security issues. I don't want to have to worry about somebody trying to steal clients or take data or not do the same things I would do to protect my client data. I hear stories all the time. There's employees who are unreliable. They don't show up. They don't do things right. Yes, employees do things right too and can be really amazing. They just don't fall into my scope. And even like I said, when we had an office, I don't want to be tied down by having to be there and babysit an employee. We love to travel. We like to, if this afternoon I want to go out of town, I just pick up my laptop and I go. I can take my work anywhere I want.
So let's just dive into that then. Why can you do that? What kind of clients do you have, Donna?
No, before you go into that.
Oh, yeah.
So how do you
pause?
So you've decided to go this way.
Okay.
So how have you designed your processes so that the work gets done?
Yeah, I guess going backwards, one of the other really big things that was critical to me is making sure I always have a contingency plan and that the work will get done. Even if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, everything's still going to go on with the business as usual of our business. So we went about, this was in 2005 or 6. I went to a conference and met up with a guy who did outsourcing. And that was, wow, that's just thoroughly weird. And I don't know, how do you trust if somebody's doing things that are outside of your view, outside of your reign? How do you deal with that? And it was something that we dipped our toe in the water and did a little bit with tax. We had great results. So then it became a process to say, okay, what else can they do? What else can we have them do where we don't have to be the babysitter? And if they change staff, they just have processes for new staff to pick up and run where the old staff left off. We do a lot of outsourcing to make sure that we have the highest quality of work, the highest security levels of work, and make sure that we can do it at a price that's affordable for small businesses. That's where the trail led. And then there's a big undertaking if we said we want to hire an employee at this stage. I don't feel like we want to.
Sounds like a beautiful lifestyle business that you created for yourself.
Yeah, it gives us a lot of flexibility, and we also have an abundance of capacity, which is always an issue if you try to grow your firm. We don't stumble upon that problem.
So for a firm that's trying to outsource, how would you say they should start? What should they start with? Should they start with bookkeeping? Should they start with tax? Tell us what you did.
I think the first stumbling block that most people see is that they can't imagine that they could tell somebody else how to do it. It's all in their head. So one of the first steps towards outsourcing is to actually either develop a process or document a process so that somebody else can duplicate it. McDonald's didn't just go out and say, let's all make hamburgers and have 100 different locations that made them 100 different ways. They had a process, and then that process was duplicatable by anybody who basically read the instructions or was taught that same process. It ended up the same way at the end of the line. So that's one of the biggest things that I think stops people from outsourcing. And the other is fear. They think fear. What would my clients think? What would my peers think? Am I caving because I'm doing this in a different way than everybody else? They're afraid. When we went back 10 years ago, not even 10, but 5 years ago even, it was pretty taboo to even talk about outsourcing. You had to whisper it in the corner. Somebody would come and ask me at a conference, I hear you do this outsource thing. How's that work? You didn't have to.
It's a calculated move.
It was very calculated. It was something that not a lot of people would want to talk about because it felt like they were giving in to some sort of pressure. And I don't get it. We have a world economy. What my clients want and an end result, they don't really care ultimately who does the work, when it gets done, what time of day it is, whether it's on a PC or a Mac, whether you use UltraTax or Access. They want results. And that's what we're able to produce by having a solid system and using our model of business the way we do.
I agree 100% on that. Clients always come to you wanting you to solve their problem, however you do it.
So when you were starting your firm, you decided to niche pretty early on too, right?
Niche or niche? And can you have the cleaners come at a different time?
I know the cleaners always come now, always. It's a gift.
Door.
We accidentally fell into a niche. We worked with one of our clients who our sons went to school together, and she was a member of a larger group for this niche market, and they had a Facebook chat group, or I don't even know if it was Facebook at the time. It was a chat group where they all talked amongst themselves. And she posted some very favorable comments. We were able to get a $1,400 penalty removed that her prior accountant wouldn't even look at. And that was one of the first things that made her very happy. And we started down that path. And so she posted it on this chat group. And unbeknownst to me, I start getting these calls from these people all across the country. And at the time, we were only dealing with people in our backyard here locally. And a lady from Lancaster, Pennsylvania called me and she said, "You have to work with me. You have to fix me." And I didn't even know what she was doing. And so we fell into this niche, and we actually became a member of an association of a group of pottery studios, ceramic art studios, and learned about their business. When we joined, we talked to the association and realized they didn't really have good financial data to even give to their membership. Their industry was so specific that nobody had ever had any big enough data to do any analysis on it, to tell people where they should be. So we were an integral part of creating key performance metrics for that industry. And then we would exhibit and teach classes at their conferences, got to know a lot of the members from one to the other and referrals. And it snowballed from
during COVID. So you've niched, and your niche is the campgrounds and then your pottery studios.
Uh-huh.
How did those two mix together, though? I'd be interested in that, because the first chat group was
the pottery.
Were you just listening, bro? Come on.
Well, I was listening to everything but the beginning. There we go.
Yeah, we started out with the pottery studios. And then the campgrounds were, again, we fell into that one, but it was a little more planned than the first.
Another calculated move with the campgrounds, because you like to camp.
Yeah. We planned a little more on the campground side. We realized we had a formula to market a niche. And there were some characteristics where we found that we needed to be able to market to a niche. And campgrounds actually had that formula. They have an association where their owners talk. They have a way that we could be involved in it. Plus, we love to camp. We had both sides of the picture. We have the perspective of a customer as well as the perspective of a financial expert in the industry. We know what goes on. We can give them best practices. We can tell them what we're seeing across the country as we camp at other campgrounds. So it's a natural fit.
So go back to COVID for a second.
Okay.
Because you're basically in two niches, and one of
We're
them.
We're gonna go with niche, bitch, because it's 2-on-1 here. So we're gonna go ahead and go the hard way, and it's niche.
Niche. So were you worried when COVID hit, since you were in a niche that was affected pretty hard with COVID?
Yeah, honestly, we didn't really have time to be worried as much. Yeah, we did have that worry factor a little ways in, but we honestly were so busy trying to navigate the laws before they passed and as they passed to make sure that we could take care of our customers so they wouldn't go out of business and they wouldn't want to leave because we were there for them. We were concerned about the retail side of the pottery studios for a while there because that most of them were closed, hard down, locked down, closed, and they really had to pivot to figure out a way to have income. But to date, we have not lost one customer to COVID, And our campgrounds, of course, if you know anything about the campground industry right now, they are flying high. They're going like gangbusters.
Yes.
That market is very stable. Those folks have grown a lot, and we've been able to help them take advantage of the supply and demand issue that's in the campground world right now. And the Pottery Studios are making a comeback. They've been very strong at looking forward to how to navigate other ways of doing business.
Do you have any fun stories of things that one client figured out that just set fire that you spread among others?
Yeah, there are a lot of those in the pottery industry, especially. A lot of our clients turn to go kits. We've helped them actually dive into private schools. A lot of private schools also have struggles with paying for art classes and things like that. So a substitute way to do that is to do programs through the studios.
Last night my daughter was coloring in a coloring book, and I thought she could have a paint your pot delivered home and color it, and then we would put that right on the table somewhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of those, and once we figured out that they could do that and not have to depend on live people, then I brought to the table, what about a subscription to do this?
Ooh.
And that those who have implemented that have been super successful at doing that, and it is really starting to catch fire in the industry. We are. Yeah, we want to track their revenues there, so that, because I think ultimately that may take over a big chunk of what they used to do and really keep people engaged even more than they could before.
That must be why you brought up mail-in when we were talking a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it is. We've seen a lot of changes with that.
So what about during COVID? Did you charge your clients extra for PPP help or?
No.
So all part of monthly service, or?
Yes. Our VIP clients, our promise to them is that we offer unlimited consultation and advice. And when I looked, I didn't want to give them the gut punch when things were at their lowest and charge them again. We actually were able to make it a project where we could systematize how we gathered the information for our PPPs, for the EIDL programs, now for employee retention credits. We have included that 100% in our VIP customer service.
I'll be honest, I don't know how I feel about, I did the same thing, and I think Ackerman, you did too, but I don't know how I feel about the people who held off, did not get it, but then now there's a new regimen, and all of a sudden we have clients that now want to go for the PPP, and they're up for grabs for
Did you mean regime?
Regimen, whatever. And I'm charging those. I am charging those. The ones that felt like they were morally holding off, and now they're diving in, and nothing's changed for them. Yeah, those were charging.
The funds ran out, so they're out of luck.
Yeah, they literally just ran out today. I saw that.
There you go.
A
few weeks
ago. So when you price, do you have standard prices for like different tiers for your pottery studios, or do you price everyone individually?
I price everyone individually, but we typically have a package of services that is pretty standard. Sometimes we make minor adjustments to it, but we typically have a 3-package option. The only thing that varies from client to client is usually the pricing. And I look at that just based on complexity. It's not a formula based on transactions. It's based on what I see and hear in the discovery process, what their other tax considerations are outside things, where they're trying to expand on the business, what state they're in. Does the state have additional complexities? How many people we're dealing with? Those kinds of things.
And what's your onboarding process? Like, so if I'm a pottery studio and I want to work with you, how do you go about?
First, how do I find you? Typically, in most cases.
Typically, the niche markets find us through the chat groups, or we are supplier members, so they know of us in most cases now. I would venture to say that probably 3/4 of the membership of the organizations for Pottery Studios I know of them already. They know of me. It just takes a point when they reach that pain threshold and they decide it's time to make a move. We also have niche specific websites that have content catered specifically to each of the niches. So
Do you do those content? Do you do that content?
Yes, I do. Those are specific to each one. On the ceramic arts, we're talking about how to price. Campgrounds, we may be talking about their work camper situation. They're different targets and they have different information. We market ourselves as specialists in the industry. So all of our information is going to be targeted specifically to, once they find us, if they are interested in the full advisory role that we offer, where we're giving them unlimited content and advice, or unlimited consultation and advice, we're doing a discovery call with them to find out a little bit more about them, what their struggles are, how we can help, and we're evaluating what their tax waste is, because in a lot of cases we're able to use their tax waste to justify, because we're in most cases the most expensive accountant they've ever had. If I told you were going to save $10,000 and it was going to cost you $3,000 to do that, most people would jump on that. And that's the scenario that we're talking about with our tax waste. I want to look in and find a return on investment for them right off the bat.
Are you active in some of these groups, or are you letting them sing your praise? Are you silent?
No, I'm very active. I answer questions that come up when they're something in my area of expertise. And for example, when new things come out, the ERC, for example, we do specific either webinars I'll do or specific blog posts that kind of guide them. Even if they're not my client, I want to see the industry do well. That's in my best interest too. So I want to help those folks.
Care about the community and the culture.
Yeah. We want to keep them strong too, because they're going to be my customer one day. Those are the people who are my biggest prospects.
If they're successful and they want to pay your prices.
Yes. Yeah.
So do you have clients that are on your lower levels that like you've literally never spoken to?
I don't have anybody that I've never spoken to. It's possible that could happen in the future. In the past, our focus has strictly been on the advisory work. We've since added a couple of tiers as our growing zone of the do-it-yourselfer or the done for you, but I don't need advice yet. I'm still growing, so that we'll have those lower levels able to be on board with us throughout their life at some capacity, so that they can grow into being an advisory client one day.
I'd be interested to hear that. So what do you end up doing for them? What do you offer them?
Our lowest level, the do-it-yourself option, we are getting them set up on the right foot, getting their chart of accounts established, getting their Xero subscription up and running for them. We have a short course of general instruction for Xero to give them a good kick to get them started. And we'll, of course, check back in with them periodically just to see how things are going and see if at some point they may decide this is too much for me. My business is growing. Maybe I need you to do the bookkeeping instead. Or maybe they're growing into another level or reach a milestone in their business.
Also,
I think that's super.
Calculated.
I think that's super interesting because you've been at the forefront of technology and process.
She's a low-key one though. She's like a sniper. She's one of those like silent in the grass and then comes out to attack. That's Donna.
Sure. Donna, your comments on being a sniper in the grass.
I am a pretty good shot for a sniper.
Oh, I know that.
I'll bet she is.
Sure.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. So what I really want to ask is, what's your husband like?
He is the sniper.
Is he?
The grass.
Don't
Yeah.
fuck with Chad.
Yeah, he's very quiet and low key to begin with, but once he knows who you are and gets in there, he'll go down with the best of you. He's a very fun guy, and he's the detail mind. I am the let's float along the surface and get this job done.
You're a visionary.
Yeah, he's the detail guy.
You're a visionary, Donna.
Yeah, so what's your?
It's business.
What's your 5-year plan for calculated moves?
5-year, I would like to pretty much, I'll say double in revenue. My focus is 100% on monthly recurring revenue. We don't want ad hoc projects. I don't want tax returns only. We don't do that. We grew out of that a long time ago. I want to build relationships with people that'll be with us for the long haul. Probably the 5-year zone, I would like to double in size. The 7 to 10 year is the sell. I don't need to go. At some point, I want to check that box off. And my goal is that accounting firms no longer are sold based on revenue. I want them to be sold like every other business based on their profitability.
Based on their potential too. Based on their processes.
Nobody pays for potential.
Yeah, their profitability. I get it.
But what about, where do you see
they do with software?
Where do you see the industry going? What do you think is going to change in calculated moves, technology-wise, over the next couple of years?
The industry, I think, is finally going to go paperless and get dual monitors.
When I started at where I work, he had one monitor. He thought he would get cancer if he had another one, and he did not have a scanner in the office at all. And that is the firm that I live in today.
I'm figuring there's like a 20-year lag, because we went paperless in 99 and a lot of firms are now starting to go paperless. But for calculated moves, I want us to be able to really take advantage of automation on routine tasks need 100% automation. I want to spend my time doing the high level stuff that really matters and talking to people and providing them with key advice that they're not going to get by looking at a balance sheet.
Donna, are you the advisor? And does Chad do the work?
I'm the advisor. I am the one who talks to clients. Chad does on the campground side. Like we went out, a client had a grand opening of an expansion area. They know Chad and they'll talk to him too, but he's not the guy.
In general, he's probably like a silent killer. Yeah, that's the sniper.
I mentioned Chad's very detail oriented, and what happened was that many years ago he had some tasks to do and he was so detailed he was slow at it, and it frustrated me. I'm the let's get her done kind of person. I'm pumping it out, so I outsourced his job, and then he became very
as a husband or as a business partner.
No, just he's doing stellar there.
Okay.
But he became heavily involved in the Rotary, so he was like a full-time Rotary guy. He was managing the Rotary, he was president, he was treasurer, he's been heavily involved in the Lake Wylie Rotary. And then he became heavily involved in our travel. And then for a while, I was working and our son was at home, or he needed rides to school and all that fun stuff. So he did some Mr. Momming as well in between there. We actually realized we need to work both of us out of a job. That's the big picture. So we got him out of it, but he still does some things, helps me on projects, and does some of the big vision stuff too. Keeps me on track to not get stuck in the details of what I'm doing that day. We've got it pretty flexible so that both of us could be gone at any point or here at any point and work from anywhere.
So what have you not outsourced?
Advice, advisory, and sales calls. Those are the two big things that I still do. I'm still looking heavily. Sales calls are the next piece to really streamline. I want our website to do a lot more of the selling for me and spend a lot less of the repetitive stuff that I would say and talk to people. I want to have them have some of that background and shorten that cycle. And ultimately, I want the business owners at home on a Saturday and browsing, and they find our website and they dive in. To me, if I find a piece of software or something, the worst thing in the world for me is I can't find out how much it is and I can't sign up for it or get a demo started. I have to wait to meet with somebody. So not only I want to provide good customer service, but there is a certain group of our people now in the world who say, I want it now. I don't want to wait. I don't want to have to be burdened by talking to somebody to do this. I should be able to sign up online.
And you're offering that?
We're moving that direction. Yeah, we're partially offering it, but probably the next 6 months we'll be able.
Is that those lower scoops, like here we'll set up your zero for this much, or here we'll do this for this much, like one-offs?
The non-advisory part is already set up on our website where they can go just buy it now. I want to provide more information about how it works. That part's in the works. But the advisory part is where I'm really focusing the efforts to try to shorten that cycle and to allow. I have this fear still a little bit of allowing somebody to sign up when I don't even know if I like them.
Yeah, vetting.
If we're going to have a personality clash, we're never going to be a good fit together. I haven't figured out the 100% answer on how to fix that problem.
That's very interesting because I do that with my team. I have employees and I have to think about that when I'm doing a sales call. And I said, which person would they match up best with? Because that's always going to be an issue if you don't consider that, especially if you get two people working closely with them.
So what do you think is the biggest technology that's lacking that we need now? If we had it, it would make your life a lot easier.
Without a doubt, it's tax. Tax software is still 20 years in the past. Nothing is cloud-based. It's a behemoth, but on the good side, it's only once a year activity. We can kind of, once the tax returns are done, April comes, we shove that under the rug till next year. I think there's still a lot that is undefined or underdefined on giving us the tools we need to advise people. Like straightforward. Yes, I can go dig into everybody's books and read their financials and their balance sheet and come to my mind. If we don't follow a process to do that, we'll miss it on some and get it on others. I want it to be a consistent thing. Dashboard is very overused, but I want something that screams at me and says, hey, this client just took a 10% dip in their revenue. What the heck happened? I want the same things that I would notice and ask a client. I want to be presented to me so that I can streamline the effort to talk to my client faster when there's a problem. Or if they did something really great, I want to know that too. I want to say, hey, what'd you do last week? It was incredible. How do we do that again? How do we focus on that?
I think you can do that in LivePlan.
I can, but I have to proactively go look at LivePlan to get the answers. I want.
Oh, you want it to alert you?
Yeah. I want it to tell me, hey, you need to have a conversation.
Isn't that just a feature somebody can add?
That's
like
what
a lot of them, don't they have that? I'm pretty sure they do.
That's something that Zero should.
They do have that. Zero.
No,
has
but
that.
It doesn't have it through all your clients. Like it should be able to mine all
there
the
is an
client
answer
data.
to this. We can look that up later.
You have each client to find that information.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I'm pretty sure there is ways that you can just grab data and have it alert you like a pizza.
Oh, there is, but there's not a process that's well defined that tells us how to do that. I am working on a lot of automation through Zapier, through Airtable to try to refine a lot of that. We are actually in the process of building a wish list. In a perfect world,
oh, cool.
What would an accountant look like? What would our firm look like? What would we see?
Donna, that's great. Like you in 1999 were paperless, so I want to see your wish list. I really would love to see that. Wow, like you see the future.
It's a long wish list, though. It's a problem.
Yeah.
I want to see it. Oh man, I'm excited to see that one day. One day over some drinks. Donna, why did you become an accountant? Like, why this?
Because I like cash registers and calculators.
What'd you do before this?
I was an accountant.
Before that and before that.
When I was probably 5 or 6 years old, what I wanted for Christmas was a cash register. And then I wanted a calculator. And then I really thought it was cool if you got like a printing calculator. And then I got my Texas Instrument computer and I wrote basic programs that were like 8 lines long and made it loop and put happy birthday on the screen. So I've always been into numbers and technology.
You've always just enjoyed your life.
Yeah, I took an accounting class in 10th grade. I took one in 11th grade, and then I did an independent study in 12th grade.
Did you even go to college?
I did.
Oh, okay.
I majored in accounting when I went to college.
Okay. You have to go to college to get a CPA in this country.
Oh, I guess so, but that is true.
My minor was in computer programming and management.
I wouldn't be surprised if you just figured out how to get it back then.
But you've also owned, you're an entrepreneur because you owned beauty salons in the past.
Oh, wow.
Which randomly we found out about.
Yeah.
So there's something
about that. Did you work at the beauty salon?
No, I can't. I'm not a licensed cosmetologist. When Chad started out, he had a marketing degree. And then once he met me, he decided that, yeah, those accounting people always had a lot of homework. So it was a wrong way to go in college because that left little time for parties. And then he went back for another year at UNCC and got his accounting degree and sat for the CPA exam. Once he did that, we got into that mode of the business and entrepreneurs and marketing. He pretty much marketed to start my tax practice when I started that back in the day and left my job. But then we got to a point where he had a full-time job in corporate accounting and decided that we wanted to venture out. He was burnt out from Sarbanes-Oxley crap. And so we decided we wanted to buy a franchise. And so he did all the legwork, investigated a bunch of different franchises. And one of the selling factors was, this is a business we can't get stuck working in. We can only work on it because we can't cut hair. We're not cosmetologists. We bought into a franchised hair salon and opened one. We realized that labor is terrible in that end of the market. You're dealing with the bottom of the barrel in most cases, and you can't get good staff. Our franchise was horrible, did nothing. So we sued the franchise and we left and hired a consultant to tell us how to do a high-end salon the right way. So we paid them one time instead of paying them every week. And salon, we actually owned 2 salons at one point. We closed one of them, but the other one we owned for another 10 years after that. And it was very successful and we sold it. We've experienced both failure and success in business.
Let me ask you this, and this is a calculated move by me. You said the F word, so I'm going to go ahead and build on that because I already wrote that in my notes here.
Yeah.
But think about, let me just ask you, how many mom and pop bookkeeper type, we also do taxes, shops are there in the country? And there's CPAs too, whatever it is, but how many do you think there are?
Oh my gosh. I don't know, gazillions. There's a
How
lot.
unsuccessful are, now I don't mean that in the, I mean that in the best way possible, that they work so hard, they care about their clients, but they're still running in circles in most cases, and they really don't know any better. But I feel, just tell me, like, how do you think they're doing as far as stability? Are they working crazy hours? Are they living the great life?
Most of the ones that I hear about are working crazy hours. They're going crazy during tax season. This year has about killed them because there's a lot of different requirements and changes.
And they don't have employees. They're not worried about that. They're just...
No, I'm just saying tax law changes.
Yeah.
But the real problem at the end of the day, from a business model perspective, is that taxes are a commodity. You're competing against the Redbox, not Redbox, the movie provider, but
We know it. Oh, yeah.
So
the red and blue box.
You'll never win that war. And I just saw a statistic today. Now, only 13% of the population itemizes their deductions. You know, for that perspective, for people who are not filing complex returns or not itemizing, it used to be the fringe was people needed an accountant of some type or a bookkeeper to file taxes because they didn't understand how to itemize and it was quirky and there were a lot of tricks and rules. It wasn't just taking a form and copying
and asking a couple questions from your computer. Yeah.
If we look at that, only 13% are itemizing now. That leaves an awful lot of people that honestly they should be automated and using software on their own to do it. Those people need us. And it's a fallacy for a lot of the tax preparers out there to think that they can't do it themselves. There are some people who should do it themselves.
These people are also charging $125 a return or something too. So they're doing themselves a disservice.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not a world that I'm interested in. Those people, I can't provide value. And that's our biggest criteria. I don't want to work with anybody that I can't provide value to.
Why can you not systematize what you have done that they can slide right in? Like you just said, I create systems for my bookkeepers, for my outsourced people. Why can't you take calculated moves and create a system for these people that need something? They need something to say, give it to me. I'm going to create a McDonald's franchise. I want to have a calculated moves franchise. Me and my husband.
Yep. I just I don't want one. It's not because I can't.
You don't want world domination?
I personally want world domination.
Yeah.
But it gets in the way of me growing my firm, and I'm not willing to take that side avenue.
But they don't have to do it with campgrounds. They can do it with whatever they want.
No, but any time that I would be spending
Oh,
to
yeah.
develop a system for other accountants to model our practice is time that I'm taking away from growing my own business.
So you care more about your client's community than the accounting community, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people who shouldn't be in it.
But I do think anybody listening here should be listening to Donna. Anybody in her situation.
Are you looking at a new niche? Is that the way you want to grow?
Niche.
We've
had 3 other niches on the back burner that we're getting ready to
spicy.
Yeah, we've been building up our social media presence on them and building that audience before we fully launch, but they're ready to go.
Are these also lifestyle things that you enjoy? Were they calculated moves?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait to hear about these. Are you willing to share at this point or no? Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, we have Sweet Tooth CPAs, which is dessert shops, cupcake shops. I like to eat. We also work with high earning revenue real estate agents. Back before the housing market collapse in the early 2000s, probably 90% of our business was dealing with real estate agents, investors, all flavors. Back in those days, we had very creative strategies going on with real estate.
They just want to throw money at you. They just want to throw money at you to help them. Very easy.
They're very underserved, though, and that's why I want to help them. They typically pay way more in taxes than they should because they don't realize that they need help.
They're just 1099, yeah.
They are a business. They realize, they think they have a job.
Do you think it's the industry, though, that's the problem? Shouldn't they be informing them? Shouldn't you be involved with the industry to help them say, look, Fonville, Morrissey, tell your fucking people that they need somebody like me to do their shit. Have it be obligated to choose one of these 3 people to do your shit.
Yeah, but
handle your shit.
That's the balance of being an entrepreneur, is you get to pick which direction you go. If it's a job, they're going to tell you, yeah, you should do A, B, or C. That's part of a job. But most of these people don't want a job. They want something that fits in between the rest of their life, and that's why they are real estate agents, because they can do things on their time, and they're typically very social people. I'm not going to stick my head in the books and deal with them all weekend.
You also changed your name to Calculated Moves.
Yeah.
You were Bordeaux and Bordeaux CPAs, so it was your last name.
B&B. So what
was your...
Is that the third one? Bed and breakfasts? Or did we already get to the third?
We have the third. My son always thought it was going to be Bordeaux and Bordeaux. Yeah. One of the reasons we changed our name, first off, we never, our website was not Bordeaux and Bordeaux because nobody could ever spell that. I'm sure we could have got the domain rather easily, though. We always went under Your CPA Partners. That was our previous domain and our image. And back when we started, we couldn't do anything but our name. We started out actually in North Carolina instead of South, and North Carolina was killer on names. They've loosened a little, but not much.
I am not a CPA.
And so that one is a real tough battle from the tradition of CPAs. And when we moved over to South Carolina, actually, I realized after a while of talking with you, Jason, I was like, how'd they get to be B&A? They don't have to use their name. And so
he kind of using his name.
It kind of opened that door to say, okay, we don't want to be a traditional firm. We never were a traditional firm. Why should our name represent one? So that's where we made the move and changed our name to Calculated Moves, because we thought it more clearly represented that we're different. And ultimately, in the big picture of selling someday, I don't want to have to sell to a CPA. I want anybody to be able to buy it. Again, we've got a process that could be duplicated by somebody, whether they're a CPA or not.
Or they're a husband and wife bookkeeping firm that need to really get their shit together. that just came into some inheritance and they're ready to pay Donna to take them away, to
Whoever
whisk them away, to calculate their moves.
And talk about because you've set up a little support system with other people around the country.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, we used to be members of a group called PASBA, which is a professional association of small business accountants. And that kind of kicked it off. We started sharing ideas with them and learning things from them. Ultimately, we got to a point where we weren't getting, we were giving way more than we could get. And we feel like we'd squeezed all the juice out of the orange. So we moved on, and we had a couple of friends with accounting firms, again, husband, wife, partners, and they moved on too. And we formed our own little group on the side, the Trailblazers. And
I didn't know you had a name. I love it.
No, either, yeah, but they're the Trailblazers. Do you have a website too?
We don't. We've avoided that. But
it's an informal name. They just know. They all have secret tattoos.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah. But with the Trailblazers group, then my friend Marjorie in Texas, we've become good friends over the years. They camp, her and her husband camp with us. And we took our paths and merged them and made them kind of side-by-side paths so that we learn from each other. We do marketing. She has different niches than I have, but we use very similar processes, and we want to make sure that we each have backups and somebody to tell us when we're doing the right thing or when it's a horrible idea. We bounce ideas off of each other all day long, every day. We meet every week and run through our checklist on our Trello board of all the items that have come up or neat things we've seen or crazy things we can't figure out how to solve.
Just the two of you, or how many are in this group?
Just the two of us do the weekly meeting. We have a third firm that's also in Trailblazers with us. In PASBA, one of their structures was you did an annual financial review group. And it was more of a structure where you met up with people that you knew, but you weren't intimately involved in their business all year long. So you met up once a year and you just nitpicked the heck out of each other's practices and financial statements. Everybody had to turn on the hot seat. We realized when we left PASBA, we still liked that part of it, and we still wanted to communicate and do that. So we carried that tradition forward. And so we still do that.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's always good to keep in touch with people.
And you have contingency plans, right, with them, where if you were to die, that's what you were talking about, like Marjorie or whomever takes over for you.
And that leads into, I'm sorry, but it leads into another one of my notes and my questions. So in the game of chess, then, you and Chad, who is the king and who is the queen? And that is actually a legit question. It's not crazy, because you know what they both can do and what happens if the queen dies, or if the king dies. Game's over. So who's the king, who's the queen? No gender bias.
No, I would honestly say Chad is the king. I'm the queen who acts like a king sometimes, but
the queen is the queen, bitch.
Where did you get these questions from?
She runs the whole show.
I made it from some weird book that you read.
No, I legit made it up. Actually, I made it up last week, and I love it. It's a great question though, because I would be the queen. I would be the queen, because if Juana went down, the whole house would crumble. The game would be over. I would definitely be the queen.
You're like a pawn.
No, in my life. I'm saying in my life, I am not the king of this chessboard.
At most.
Right now in my life, I am not the king of this chessboard. I'm the queen. Now, I used to be the king, because before I was married, I was the king. I got married. Now I'm the queen, and I am totally good with that. The queen moves around, fucking not kills everybody, but the queen is a queen bitch until the king dies. Queen's worthless.
Beautiful.
So, Donna, you are the queen.
I am. I will tell you secretly. I'll let you in on a secret.
Uh-oh.
I run the show here on the business side. Chad doesn't really want to. He would prefer to be in the background on that. But ultimately, when it comes down to that, I have a situation that I need to know. I ask Marjorie. Marjorie tells me. But then I ask Chad, and that's what goes. So he's my stability rock to make sure I'm on the right path. And he is always looking at the giant picture, where I can get stuck in the day-to-day picture. He's always looking at the giant picture. And he's much more lenient than I am when it comes to, should you let a client get away with that? Do you fire them? Do you know?
He understands the longer reverb of something.
Right.
Yeah.
He's the kinder, gentler version. what I do. I can be the person who is, I'm very direct. So if somebody does something that I hate, I'm out. I'm done.
And I knew you would get this question. That's why I asked you. I couldn't ask Ackerman this question, but I will say this in our relationship in this podcast, I'm the queen. And I don't mean that, and I don't mean that in a sexual way or anything like that. I don't mean that in the worst way. In this podcast, I would think that he's the steady one that keeps me. Don't overthink it.
Right.
I'm just proud that you wrote down a question. It's a weird ass question, but I love it. Are those pictures?
No, this is notes.
Did you draw a crown on there?
Yeah, that's actually the queen thing upside down. I don't know. Yeah, well, nobody's gonna see that anyway. But
he reads in pictures. It's normal.
No, but Liz says she thinks in pictures, and we will talk about that. She has been a guest on the show, but Liz Mason thinks in pictures. She said that on an episode too, I think. So, yeah, we're just repeating ourselves. There we go. Donna, you're awesome.
Okay, let's end with if you had advice for other mom and pop CPA firms, what's your number one thing?
I don't want to hear this.
King and queen CPA firms.
First, I want to hear the Donna version, and then I want to hear the Chad version of this.
Okay. I'll try my best to try his version, but my version is don't do anything that you don't love. You have to have passion or you will die a long, slow death in the accounting world. I love what I do. Yes, some days are more taxing than others, no pun intended, but I love what I do. And when I see something I want to do differently, tomorrow I will do it differently, or right now I will change the path. If I see we need to go to the right up here at the turn, we're going to the right. I'm dragging everything behind me, but we're going. In Chad's world, he tends, like I said, to look at the longer term picture. So his advice would be make sure you're headed for a big goal, that you're going to sell this thing for something. Yes, you got to like it along the way, but make it be your business and make it be what you want it to be.
That's what a way to end.
You incorporate
Donna Bordeaux.
There. Yeah.
Calculated Moves, also known as the Wizard of Lake Wiley.
The Wizard of Lake Wiley.
The Wizard of Lake Wiley.
No, there's another word for it, but I can't think of what it is. We'll go with Wizard. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
This has been amazing. Thank you.
I'm the
Oracle, that's what it is.
Oh, yeah, that's better than Wizard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Wizard doesn't sound as good as Oracle.
You should definitely get that as either an email address or a domain.
Or a tattoo.
No tattoos here unless they're in Sharpie.
The Trailblazer. The Queen Trailblazer.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome.